Welcome back to Veterans Health Watch. Today we're at the home of Jason Earhart, a U.S. Army veteran who was injured in Iraq in 2005. We are also joined by his mother Pam and also Sharon Kelly, the Caregiver Support Coordinator for the VA Maryland Healthcare System. Thank you for having us out to your home. Jason, I wanted to start with you. In 2005 you were injured by a roadside bomb. What sort of injuries did you sustain?
Brain injury, burns, amputation.
Mom, what kind of injuries did the doctors at Landstuhl tell you about that Jason had sustained?
Well, originally they had just told us about the burns, and then as the days wore on, they discovered the brain injury, and then he did come out of it with both legs, but he ended up having to have an amputation as well.
Pam, after Jason was transferred to the VA for his care, what sort of rehabilitation services did he receive from the VA?
He was transferred for his rehabilitation, and he started out with cognitive therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy.
Sounds like they've really helped him on his road to recovery.
They absolutely did. He had excellent care.
Sharon, I understand that the VA has recently implemented changes to its caregiver support program to build upon the services that has traditionally offered VA caregivers. Can you tell us about some of these new enhancements?
Sure. I'd like to first start off by kind of discussing the benefits and services that the VA has always provided to caregivers of veterans of all eras. Services such as respite care, home health care, adult day care, and things like that. So that the newest part of services that are currently being added is the monetary benefit as well as caregiver training.
Sharon, how does the VA define a family caregiver?
The VA defines a family caregiver as a primary provider who provides personal care services to the veteran, and the caregiver should be 18 years of age or older. The primary caregiver could also be a step family member, an extended family member, as long as it's someone who resides in the home with the veteran.
Once a veteran has been determined to be clinically eligible for the program, what sort of services are in place to support the caregiver?
So in terms of the eligibility criteria for the caregiver support program, certainly the veteran must be enrolled in the VA Maryland Healthcare System. Secondly, the veteran must have sustained a serious injury on or after September the 11th. And the serious injury could include mental health conditions such as post-traumatic stress disorder, traumatic brain injury, or another type of mental health disorder. Additionally, the veteran must be in need of a minimum of 6 months or more caregiver services due to an inability to perform one or more activities of daily living, such as bathing, grooming, feeding oneself, or the veteran must be in need of supervision due to seizure disorders or blackouts.
Are there additional services that a caregiver can receive?
Certainly, additional services that a caregiver could receive would be a health insurance benefit provided by CHAMP VA, and this is providing that the caregiver does not already have existing insurance. Another benefit would be mental health services.
Sharon, for caregivers, is there a type of training that's in place for them?
Certainly, the training that is offered for the Caregiver Support Program is provided by Easter SEALs, who offer various types of training, which is online training, a workbook training with the DVD, as well as classroom training.
Okay, excellent. Pam, when you brought Jason home from the hospital, what sort of changes did you need to make within your family and within your home to properly care for Jason?
Well, in order to even bring him home, we had to go through some pretty extensive medical training for his injuries, and then we had to make some home modifications. But more importantly, he needed round-the-clock care, so we had to make arrangements for someone to be with him all day, in the evenings too, so between us.
And the training that you mentioned and the modifications, were those things that were provided to you through the VA?
Yes, in fact, as far as the medical training went, before we were even allowed to leave the hospital, we actually had to spend the weekend in the hospital with him, taking care of him with nurses nearby. And then prior to him even coming home, the Baltimore VA sent someone out to do a home assessment and then make the recommendations for the modifications, and then supplied us with everything that we needed.
What sort of advice would you give to families who are out there watching us today and thinking about applying for this program?
Well, I was while I think the caregiver legislation was excellent and something that we needed, I was a little wary at first to go through it because I've already been through so much medical training, and I thought it was repetitive, it was redundant. I thought it was going to take up too much time, and it really wasn't going to get much out of it. But I'm pleased to say that with the help of Sharon here, she got me through a lot of it. It really didn't take very long to get. It wasn't a cumbersome process to go through, and it was well worth. Going through the process. And we're particularly looking forward to the respite care. And although the VA offered that in the past, the offering was that Jason would need to go to the hospital and stay in the hospital. And with this caregiver legislation, we're allowed, we can have respite care here at home.
Sharon, how would a family caregiver or a veteran learn more information about this new VA program?
Certainly they can go to the VA website or contact the Caregiver Support Hotline at 1-855-260-3274.
Jason and Pam, thank you so much for allowing us to your home today.
Oh, you're welcome.
Sharon, thank you so much for the valuable information you shared with our TV audience. Now we'll throw it back to the studio.
Chris, thank you for that special report on the VA's new Family Caregiver Program. Well, that wraps up this edition of Veterans Health Watch. If you'd like to make suggestions for future topics or have questions about today's show, please call us at 1-800-463-6295, extension 7101, or join us at www.maryland.va.gov, or you can follow us on Facebook or Twitter. We look forward to hearing from you.
See you next time.